Hi, welcome to Pinoy Swiss Abroad. If you're new to my channel, please try to watch in full before subscribing. Thank you. We got a bit of good news, easing of lockdown level 3 here in Auckland City, New Zealand. This easing of lockdowns help people with the physical health and mental well-being.
Distancing happening. Behind me there's lots of people also on the beach, and it's been a busy day out on the water as well. By midday, Coast Guard told us that they'd had hundreds, up to 300 people out on the water, reports coming in. And while many of the boaties, including those in our story, have been very careful to follow those rules, that hasn't been the case for everyone. One News understands that some have been caught crossing the sea boundary. The police confirming that they stopped the boats leaving Kawakawa here just before they got to the Coromandel township, and an infringement notice will be issued. But largely everyone seems to be following the rules, and just a reminder, there's not just the land boundaries but also the sea boundaries as well for those who want to get out on the water side.
And generally well done.
Mandatory mask wearing despite dire warnings from experts.
It'll almost certainly get to 100,000 cases a day.
So far, that hasn't happened. England's case numbers are still high at about 27,000 new infections a day, a drop from when restrictions were first lifted. Experts here warning not to model ourselves too closely on Europe.
So many people have had the virus there that does actually contribute to their overall immunity.
Norway and Denmark both ended rules on physical distancing and venue entry last month. Even though it's still early days, they've also had a slight drop in daily case numbers, but not everywhere has seen the same downward trend. Singapore lifted limits on social gatherings in August and allowed 50% of workers back on site. That's seen case numbers skyrocket from less than 100 a day when rules were relaxed to more than 2,000 a day now. Restrictions on gatherings and workplaces have now been reinstated.
They're getting few deaths and their hospitalisations are manageable. But the bad news is they're still getting infected.
Of course, one big difference between those countries and us is our vaccination rate. More than 80% of England and Singapore's populations are fully vaccinated. Denmark and Norway are in the high 60s and 70s. In New Zealand, just half of us have received both jabs.
If case numbers in Auckland rise, which I think is quite likely, it's going to get progressively harder to keep the outbreak contained to Auckland.
So should we copy strategies from the likes of Portugal and the United Arab Emirates, where 84% are double vaxxed?
UAE engaged their religious leaders really early on. So for us, I think we have to think of where our community leaders are and who those particular communities will trust.
Looking at what works and what doesn't as New Zealand begins to live with Delta. Kristen Hall, One
And us, but our government needs to make that decision. They keep passing the buck to the hospitality industry, and it's their problem. You know, we're in the business of greeting people and saying, welcome to our place, and serving them great food and drinks, not, have you got a passport? Have you had your vaccines? That's not what we're in the business of. And the cost of doing that, if you've got to have somebody on the door checking those things, imagine a big event. What's the cost of checking that? I support it, but the government needs to make a legislation and lead the way. They're supposed to be our leaders.
So how are you practically thinking, Simon, about stopping unvaccinated people from visiting your restaurants? As you said, you have a maitre d' at the front, you have to have a bouncer. How does that work?
Well, it doesn't. It clearly doesn't. It's not cost viable for hospitality industries to start questioning people whether they've got it or whether they haven't got it. And you'll get this, them and us situation. You want to see the hate mail I've had today of people saying, well, never support you because I have an opinion. Well, I'm sorry, I've got an opinion and they're entitled to their opinion too. But we're one team here, and the government has to lead the way.
Thanks, Simon. I understand.
I hope you come to the end of this video. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And also, please support Eat Avenue. It's a quick video about food. So please don't forget to subscribe there, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much.